What's up? What's up? What's up? Going live on this Tuesday night. I think it's my third or fourth live now. Not sure if we're gonna have many people join in, but Mr. No Baggage here. Not that I don't have baggage, but I'm working on eliminating my baggage, and helping others do the same. And just wanted to take the time and just talk about, do another storyline. Talk a little bit about alcoholism, healing, childhood wounds, and give a little bit of my life because I don't want to give everything, away on here, but to kind of give some knowledge of what I've been through, where I come from, and my take on a few things. So I'm just gonna give it a quick minute here, maybe even just 30 seconds, and then kind of just get right on into it and to go over my thoughts on it. So I'll give it about 30 seconds, 40 seconds. I'll be right on to start my story. So again, Mr. No Baggage here. So all right, I don't even feel like waiting. So yeah, so alcoholism. I'm not gonna go through giving an actual definition. From anywhere without being able to source it. But alcoholism is just like any ism that you have a focus on, right? So alcohol is someone that abuses alcohol, just in general. I'm not getting this from anywhere, or uses it in a negative light. Everyone doesn't abuse alcohol. There are a lot of people that do abuse alcohol, overuse it. Some people have to drink it every day. In a lot of urban communities, they call it winos, and different things of that nature, drunks, alkies, and idiots. A lot of people get online and in different groups and say, "Well, you don't know how to handle your liquor. You don't know how to handle alcohol," and it's deeper than that. And a lot of people that don't have that problem or situation, they don't understand it. They just feel like, "Why can't you stop drinking?" Because they don't understand it. Alcohol impacts your mind, especially if you do it for an extensive period of time. So I say that to say the a lot of people really don't know what stems from alcohol and why people misuse it, because there's some people that can go out and have one or two drinks and they're fine, they don't get out of body. And then there's other people that need to have one or two and keep going through the night, such as myself in the past. I like to have a good time, and I thought that you needed alcohol to have a good time, to turn into this other person, which it does do. It makes you go into an altered state. But addiction is deeper than just one particular tool, because that's all that it is. It's a tool. Whether it's a tool that someone uses to make money, there's a tool to destroy you, it's a tool to build confidence or fake confidence, because confidence is internal. It's not really the liquids that you put in your body. It's a tool. Some people use it to celebrate, closing on a big deal, whatever the case may be. It's a tool. It's not the problem. Because if it was a problem, as soon as, like certain drugs, as soon as you touch it, as soon as you take it, you're addicted, you're done for. Alcohol builds up over time and you get more of a tolerance towards it. And generally, a lot of people, so for instance, when I first tried alcohol, I think I was young, 14, 15, something. First time I tasted it, I thought I would never drink alcohol. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was horrible. I thought it was the worst taste in my mouth I ever had in my mouth. I thought it was just disgusting. And then as I got older, I started to go to parties. And when I went to parties, I liked the feeling that I had with the alcohol. It took me away from problems at home. It took me away from things that were going on in school. It gave me an escape at that particular time. And then partying kind of did also. And a lot of people don't know that. I think one of the coaches I like, Coach Yo, he says it's a coping, which I didn't really realize that we cope And everyone copes in their own way, whether they're going to the gym, whether they're going to overeat, whether they're going shopping. Everyone has their own addictions. There are people that are addicted to different types of drugs, white powdery substances, legal over-the-counter drugs, addicted to the gym. There are healthy addictions, but a lot of things aren't actually addressed in reality. They aren't addressed on why you need those substances or things to cope with whatever you're going through. So I go back to, and I drank from probably about 17, 18, all the way up until, last year, until, pretty much almost until now, really and truly. But it wasn't the same over the last couple of years because certain things just started becoming real to me and showing me uh, the issue, not so much with alcohol, but with things that I hadn't addressed from my childhood and previous relationships. And a lot of people don't realize, most people don't really realize that they have issues because they mask it or they cope with overworking or over drinking, over partying, or adapting to something else so they don't have to look at themselves, or joining groups and organizations so that they don't have to face the reality of themselves. We give a lot of focus to narcissism and all these other groups, but we don't give a lot of focus to ourselves to say, I went through something traumatic. But we turn to external things in order to forget what we've been through. And that's really and truly why a lot of people build these barriers, and they either A, abuse themselves with these addictions and different things, or B, they are abused consistently moving forward from someone else, or they start to hurt other people because of things that they went through. So they won't get back by hurting other people that had nothing to do with what they've been through. And that's where I say it's deeper than just the alcohol. Because if I overeat, I'm sabotaging myself. But that's how I get over things. If I like to hoard, I like a junky place because I don't have to focus on the fact that I need to live a normal life. I need to live whatever normal is. Everyone's life is different, but I don't need to have all this chaos or dirt or grime around me. But some people live like that because that's where they want to be sheltered in. They don't want to have to deal with the outside world. They need chaos around them. And to go back to alcohol, alcohol is a tool that could be used negatively or positively, like I mentioned before. And for most people, it's not used correctly. It can create anxiety that you've never had before, especially if you're overly emotional. It can cause you to make the bad decision if you're not thinking rationally. And it can make you numb to losing people and numb to facing problems. And I can attest to that. I had a friend one time, she said, well, wow, why do you got to figure out why you drink like you do at that particular time. And at that particular time I had just lost a couple of my aunts back to back within a month at the beginning of the pandemic. And it was just a conversation. And it never dawned on me that I didn't mourn them. I just, at that particular time just had some drinks and just kind of came out later down the line. And, even seeing them at the funeral home, you're sad, but you don't really mourn. Um, Especially if you're, having something in your system. So I say all this to say, and again, I'm not trying to give everything away about my life because again, this is just my perspective. But a lot of people use these parties and use other people. Some people even codependent and dependent on outside sources, and they never really deal with things they've been through as a child, abuse or toxic home or chaotic home, unstable homes, yelling in the home. They never deal with that, and it comes out in little bitty fragments of what they say. Listen to people long enough, sober or with alcohol, and they'll say what they've been through for the most part. Now, but to get back on the topic, to why I feel like alcohol is not the problem. Alcohol is not the problem. Majority of most people can go and have a drink, laugh, haha, geeky, and max maybe have 2 or 3 drinks, which is the norm. And I think that, I'm not gonna go with statistics, but 5 or 6 drinks a week isn't that bad. And then for some people, they say a glass of wine is, good for the heart. Red wine, I guess, if you can maintain it. So it's not necessarily a bad thing if it's not. I know a guy that he would come home and have a glass of wine or a beer or two each night, just normal, just to have a drink. But he wasn't dependent on it. See, once you become dependent on something, anything, it's a problem. You're depending 100% on the alcohol, the beer. If you're dependent on a friend or you can't function without something or someone, that is a problem. If we need food, but if you overindulge, even too much water is not good. We have a finite, we have an exact amount that our body can't have, because gallons and gallons, excuse me, will drown us. And that goes into balance, which is which is entirely a different concept, but and a different topic. But alcohol isn't the problem. When you're abusing alcohol or abusing anything, a person, a job, a child, yourself, because we forget abusing yourself is a thing. Overindulging in alcohol is a thing. We don't think about ourselves. You're harming yourself. The only vessel in this world that truly matters is you. And if you abuse you, you're telling other people that they can abuse you. You're going to abuse other people. You're going to hurt other people because of how you hurt yourself. Sabotaging your relationships due to that unhealed child that's in you. It's not the alcohol. So a lot of people say, well, you always drinking, daddy, or you always drinking, mommy, or cousin, and you turn really, really angry when you drink. 9 times out of 10, that's an angry child. Not just with alcohol. Any kind of drugs, anything. If a person turns into rage, that's an anger or toxic. That's an angry child. 9 times out of 10. Now it could have been something that happened as an adult, but for the majority, and for what I can say, is probably someone that has unhealed childhood trauma or abuse and is unhealed. And I know that healing is a journey, but I'm sorry, this is going to be some of the a-hole in me that says at some point, when are we going to stop using that as an excuse? I never used it as an excuse, and I really didn't realize until the last probably 2 to 3 years since this pandemic, when I started looking at certain things and patterns in relationships and realized where I first saw that at, and it was in childhood. So there were certain relationships I saw that I repeated in my adult life and did not realize it. Intimacy is not just always sexual. Intimacy, the first intimate relationship you have is with your parents. And intimacy is deeper than just sex. That's a small mind. And sex sometimes is not even intimate. When you're connecting with someone, those are the first people you connect with. And if one of those, individuals aren't there, whether you never met them or they left or they abuse you, whatever, that alters the rest of your life. And we'll put on here for a reason. We all have to find our own reason, you know. Um, if you've been through something, typically the best way to heal is to help someone heal, not live in that space. And that's why you have a lot of these groups that get together and just start bashing other groups because they're all in pain that they've never healed from. They've never taken the time to say, I'm hurting. They never taken the time to go back to look at them at the age. I know I've said this on another video that they were when they were hurt, when they were first left out, and they felt that pain, and started understanding that something's not right here. while I'm on the topic, and these groups, they get on here and they think only one specific sex are abusers. And we need to talk about abuse as abuse. Just because the child can penetrate or can put his in hers or whatever the case may be, the adult her, does not mean it isn't mental and physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. Does not mean that. Underage is underage. But we that's a different discussion that I want to have one of these days because it's time out for being one sided to these things. There are damaged goods out here, and all we do is get in groups and talk about the other group. And I honestly, that's not something I ever want to be a part of. Is some specific group just to talk about another group. I'm not sitting around. I mean, I have discussions with guys, and some feel like women are this, women are that. But at the same time, by the end of the conversation, I'm bringing it back to there are some good women out here. There are some good men out here. We're not just going to sit there and hone in on the majority of the ones that aren't for you. They aren't for you. Who cares if everybody's good if they're not for you? Everybody not meant for your life. Like my cousin told me, my older cousin, every woman is not meant for you to sleep with. That's what men tell men. That's what men tell boys trying to grow up. Women should say the same thing. All this be risque and all this. To me, be who you want to be, but at the same time, trying to sell somebody else on something because you've been through pain is not. That's not good. That's traumatizing. That's abuse. You've been through bad relationships, so you join this group and hate this group. It's like a pack of cats getting together, abused and hurt, and hating an entire group of dogs. Even though they all done, they already they dislike each other naturally, but in a group of dogs, they just hate each other because of what this one cat had happened to her with this one dog. Whereas the other cat in the group in the same house with a dog, and they have a great relationship because they've always been around each other. They didn't have that. But then they give it the group and try to change their mind frame. But that's just the world we live in. But what we don't realize is once you join a group and don't focus on your healing, that's just the same as drinking too much. That's just the same as eating too much. That's just the same as doing anything to not face your issues. Your daddy left you. Your mother left you. You were abandoned. You inherited a lot of their issues and trauma that you don't understand where they came from. So they did certain things that they went through with their parents or the lack thereof. And you inherited that from them. And then their mistakes became your pain, along with whatever they had in their bloodline. So this is where you take that, throw the ball, throw the coats away, throw the issues away, throw all that away and face it. Some things didn't go right with you in a previous relationship, in a previous marriage, or when you were a child. Something in the past was not right. That's where the accountability come in. That's where the problem lies. Not addressing the issues of what you've been through. And a lot of times people say, well, it's nothing but hurt people on the internet trying to help other people, or they're just trying to, uh, duh, only, see, you have a lot of these, and then even on the men's side, you have these groups that just dog guys out because they have drinking problems or they talk to them crazy and then it may just be for show for the internet, right? I get it. You got to get viewers. You get all that. That's what I always recommend: actually getting a consultation and having a one-on-one conversation with some of these gentlemen that you see as quality, because the conversation could be different and more direct on what your issue is. You got to put on the show for some people. I don't want to have my platform to be like that. I like the platforms that are respectful and have a certain level of class to them. Speaking down to men or women is not what I'm trying to do. I want to speak directly. If you can't get the message now, some things what I may say may not be what you agree with. I'm not here to agree with you, but I'm not here to talk to you like dog or or less than, like a lot of these platforms. Because to me, I feel like that's abuse also. I feel like yelling at somebody, calling them out their names and all that. Men don't do that. I said it in another video. Just me, this is to me, that's just not what men do. You got your issues that you need to handle. And some men do that because they were bullied, and now they have this internet platform. And but the real ones, you could tell they genuinely want to give real information. They want to give real information to help people because they've been through something. And the ones, just like a lot of people don't like churches and all rambling on. A lot of them are hurt also, and they're trying to heal. Be honest. A lot of us can't be honest now because we weren't honest and couldn't be honest as children. Kids should be able to have the honest lives. Should be able to have honest lives just to be a kid. But a lot of kids can't do that due to whatever the circumstances are. So with this, alcohol isn't your problem. If you checked on this video because you have had DUI, such as myself, you had problems with alcohol and different things of that nature, or alcohol has impacted your relationships. Analyze yourself. Go back to what hurt you and actually address it. You don't even have to tell your family you're doing this unless you want to. You can go to a third party that don't know anything about you and go talk to somebody. Dig deep. Spend time with yourself. I think some people call it shadow work. I don't know what you want to call it. Dark work, whatever. Talk to God, whatever you believe in. I believe in God. God will show you if you clear your mind and get focused. Spend time with yourself. Where did I go wrong? What have I not addressed? I did another video that talked about crying without knowing why you're crying. You're crying because that's that child in you crying. You hear a gospel song, you hear an R&B song. That's your inner child crying, asking you to come back. And a lot of people, you can go back mentally. And it's something I'm going to work on in the future because we have a lot of grown adults that are still children mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and don't even realize it. But they're hopping from body to body, relationship to relationship, job to job, and blaming everybody else except for themselves because they never addressed their own issues internally. So before we blame everything, 'cause that's the easiest way. We want to blame alcohol. We want to blame drugs. We want to blame everything else, everybody else, our parents, even though they played a part, our uncles, our cousins, the abusers, whatever it was. We want to blame everybody else. But it's up to us to work on healing. It's up to us to work on forgiveness. Everybody said, well, everyone always want to say heal and forgive. Just like you do anything else. Google how to forgive. Search how to forgive. Bing it. AI it. They have a chat GPT. How do I get over this? How do I pray, meditate, exercise? Stop hanging around people that all they want to do is live in the same pain and mask it with groups. Groups are there for a positive support group. Whether you go to AA, it should be we've had issues and there's a stepping program. If you're hanging with this group for 20 years, 30 years, and no one is benefiting or progressing, you're all in the same, you want to be in relationships, but you can't because you aren't healed from childhood stuff. But you're succeeding everywhere else, which is fine. My point, I have career-wise, work-wise, grade A, great, great job-wise. Relationship building personally, that's a work in progress because you have to be able to relate with yourself before you can relate with anyone else. People don't want to relate to themselves. They want something external to grab onto. Groups, alcohol, food, gym, working out. Nobody, no, they don't want to spend time with themselves to address their inner child issue, those wounds, or that. And I was there because honestly, once I graduated high school and started moving on in my career and things like that, I really didn't think anything about it. I just started focusing on doing stuff. Let me do this. I need to do this. I need to get this by this. I need to get into real estate. I need to blah 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 blah. But there's a cycle that continues to happen relationally, and relationships expose your wounds. So next time you're picking up some alcohol or whatever your vice is, you run into a group to get that validation. Take a step back. How much time have you spent with you this week? How much? Why do you need this right now? Have you talked to your inner child? Is your inner child fully? Have you forgiven that past relationship, that marriage, that divorce? Because some of this could be adult now. You could have got a divorce with somebody that you were with 20, 25 years. And even then, why were you there? Was it an unfulfilled assignment or unfulfilled feeling from your childhood? Only you can answer that. They left you for 20 years. They left you after 20, 30 years. And you're mad at the world. And that's enough to grieve. And our problems are made for us to learn from. And when you go through something, the goal should be to help someone else not go through what you went through or help them through it in a positive and healthy way. So the next time someone just want to point out, and this is the last thing I want to say before I go. I mentioned that I've had DUIs, and when you go to these classes, they have these tapes and a lot of information from a long time ago. The majority of it talks about just what alcohol does to your body, what it does to you physically, mentally, and how it impacts your relationships and the seriousness of it. But none of it talks about the why. Maybe in AA, but even then, a lot of that is just talking about things I've messed up this. I was it's just basically you talking about why you messed up. Digging deep onto why you use it. Where was the first place you used it? Why did you use it? What were you trying to cover up and not face? That's when you start digging deep and going through the inner work. And now if you have someone that's really trying to go through that type of work with you, by all means. But if you're trying to have somebody that just want to keep you right where you are, just so they can have someone to vent to and not heal, because a lot of people just want to vent. That's just like somebody just want to pick up a bottle and drink the problems away. No work, no accountability. And it is a journey. And some people, it may be a lifetime journey. And that's okay. But the lifetime journey of healing should be here. And then guess what? It's going to come back in your mind. And you still go back down a little bit. Then you keep trying to work at it. Then you go back down again. And some of it's just, you may not be able to get to where someone else is. But you try. You keep going. You don't need alcohol. You don't need outside resources or people per se until you do the internal work. And then you add those other tools and resources around you. So do the inner work, talk to the inner child, go back to what hurt you, address it, stop avoiding it. Listen, no bag of cheer, no bags, like, subscribe if you choose, and let's grow and heal and get our finances in order and get to a better place moving forward. No bags.